Hi guys, welcome to Snakes and Adders. We're continuing our introducing series on lizards by today discussing the Plaited Lizards. These are an old school species. Anybody who's been keeping, say, 20 years or more, these were one of the mainstays of the hobby. We knew a lot less about husbandry and the way that we kept animals, and the Gherrosaurus or Plaited Lizards seemed bomb-proof even back then. So with modern husbandry techniques and knowledge, these would make absolutely fabulous pets that would become totally tame, inquisitive, personable, and attractive animals to keep as pets. So we'll just run through some basics as an introduction to the group. So these are exclusively African, and there is another species that broke off originally which would belong to Gherrosauridae, the bigger family, which would be the Zonosaurs, which are the Malagasy plaited, which you may see in the hobby. These are rarely as tame as particularly the black-lined plaited lizard, which is this guy, or the tawny plaited lizard or major plaited lizard. So the three species you would see in captivity most commonly would be the Sudan or tawny plaited lizard, which is Gherrosaurus major. Then there's the yellow-throated lizard, which is Flavigularis, and then there is the black-line plaited lizard, which is Gherrosaurus nigrolineatus. Of the three, the Flavigularis are slightly more problematic, a lot more flighty, won't sit still. So I'll probably be less inclined to include those in this video as a guide, being as an introduction and for beginners and somebody who wants to be able to keep a successful pet. Then I would be more inclined to maybe concentrate our efforts on tawny plaited lizards or the black-line plaited lizards such as this guy. So within our vivarium we're going to set up a rocky, semi-open sort of terrain. We might provide some pipe work, we could provide some stones as long as they were secure. The way that your animal is designed is to be able to survive against predators. If it sees them coming, it will run into rocks, wedge itself, and temporarily inflate its body, which is what this crease in the body is for. They can breathe in, make themselves big, and because of the thick, heavy scales, you know, they're invulnerable to a lot of attacks then, and once they're wedged in place, there's not many things that are going to be able to get them out. So it's a good little defense mechanism that they have. They will also drop and regenerate their tail as well. This guy's got a slightly regenerated tail tip, so we can see that we've got patination 2/3 of the way down, and then the patination ceases, so we can see that that was where the execution point on the tail was. They are going to have super high UV output bulbs, so we're talking 10, 12 or 14% UV. They would be on 12 to 14 hours a day. We'd give a localized basking area of about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'd maybe also just give them a gentle spray. These aren't true desert, they're more scrubland. They would be near maybe a water source or two, you know, such as the Sudan plaited. They're from the southern half. Sudan's a country of two halves, and the southern half is far more humid and muggy than the northern half. This will help us to shed these big thick plates. What we don't want is any shed skins to build up. We want it to be able to shed nicely. Such as this black-line plaited lizard, they're avid diggers. So, you know, maybe we need a deep substrate that they can dig down into. Maybe we could have these pipes buried in a subterranean way so that they can enjoy that fossorial lifestyle that they would naturally enjoy. As far as substrate goes, we could use a mixture of your topsoil or potting soil and cutting soil, which is cut with sand. We could mix that further with sand. We could use maybe some orchid bark. We could use core. We could use a mix of it all. We could use some leaf litter. We'd just encourage them to dig and try and keep them in a naturalistic way. I wouldn't recommend sand. And they do enjoy, like I say, a little bit of humidity, so maybe lignocel's not the way to go. Realistically, adult size for the tawny and the black lines is pretty similar, at somewhere between 20 and 24 inches in length. So think along the similar lines to a bearded dragon in length, but never quite having the body mass, that big disc of a body or the big head. So they're a bit more slender in build, but they're not insubstantial. You know, they're quite a chunky lizard and well built. As far as diet goes, they're omnivores. Certain species will take more veg than others. The tawny plaited is probably the most noticeable omnivore of the group, and they will take fallen fruits and vegetation in the wild, so we can incorporate that into their diet. We could also offer them elements of scrambled and boiled egg. We could give them occasional treats in the form of pinky mice. They may enjoy the occasional snail, earthworm or slug. We can also maybe occasionally use salmon cat food, but only as a treat. So what we want is to be able to actually provide a really broad spectrum diet, make sure that they're nutritionally as complete as possible. We want to supplement that with calcium powder and a multivitamin powder, so that they're generating good bone, good scale condition as they grow and mature within the tank. These are almost exclusively available as imported or long-term captive animals. Nobody really works with them with any regularity when it comes to breeding, and these are definitely considered an old school species, which is a crying shame. Reason being, even though this is a long-term captive lizard, he's been captive for about 3 years now, you can just see how tame, chilled out and calm he is, and what a fabulous pet he would make. He's inquisitive, non-aggressive, and even fresh import animals will rarely bite. That's less so for the yellow throat. They can be a pain in the arse, but the tawnies and the black line plateds, they're ace. They're relatively easily sexed as adults, although as babies they can be problematic. The way we sex is with femoral paws, similar to how your beardies are, but what these have got is a line where they all connect, and we end up with these quite prominent paws running down the inside of the thigh, which are full of a holocrine wax, which denotes that they're a boy. The girls, these aren't developed. So definitely consider them. They're fabulous. You are going to struggle for research. There isn't a huge amount of info out there on them, which is a shame. But I found them to be forgiving, tame, wonderful lizards. Definitely worthy of further attention. And as we move forward and standards in husbandry improve, and the diversity within this hobby seems to be at an all-time low, maybe it's time some of these species that are the old school bomb-proof species, that even when we knew as little as we did about husbandry, we still kept them alive for 15 years, then now they should be one of the easiest to keep lizards going. As long as we've got good UV, good heat and a good diet, we're golden. Everything falls into place. So research the family Gherrosaurus, and we want to look at the subspecies major and nigrolineatus. And if we have a look at those, do your research. We'll keep the videos coming. Sorry for the break. We'll start trying to roll through them and keep them flowing now. We just wanted to have a bit of time off. So visit the website www.snakesandadders.co.uk to see what we're all about. Cheers.